Hi guys, today we are going to be talking about traditionalists or the silent generation. So let's get started. The silent generation was born between 1926 and 1946. This is the start of the Great Depression till the end of World War II. This is a timeline of what happened between those years that they were being born. So it started with the stock market crash in the Great Depression. Then the Social Security Act was passed, and then events that happened in World War II, such as Pearl Harbor, D-Day, and the atomic bomb. So why are they called the silent generation? Well, in 1951, Time interviewed teenagers and young adults. They gathered a bunch of information and came to the conclusion that this generation was not willing to speak out about anything. They avoided talking about sex, cancer, rape, and racism. They wouldn't even say cancer. Instead, they would say the C word. They didn't think that they could do anything about racism or cancer, so they didn't talk about it. Eventually, they did help start the civil rights movement, but that happened in later years. Before that, they chose to conform to the rules and expectations of society, and this actually had an impact on their economy. This is a quote from that article. It says, "Youth today is waiting for the hand of fate to fall on its shoulders, meanwhile working fairly hard and saying almost nothing." Some facts about the silent generation. They're between 76 and 94 years old, and they're actually the oldest generation alive today. Most of them are retired, and those that are working work very few hours. They're known as the lucky few because they didn't have to serve in World War I because they weren't born yet, and they were too young to serve in World War II. They are the generation that rebuilt the economy, infrastructure, and society after the Great Depression. They're also the wealthiest people because they learned to save everything. Some events that shaped this generation were fighting in the Korean and Vietnam Wars, the Civil Rights Movement, and Women's Rights Movement. So some characteristics about this generation: they're hardworking. They believe that you earn your way. They brought this work ethic from their parents who worked in the industries. They are very determined. They believe that work is a privilege, especially since growing up, they didn't have a lot of opportunities to work. They also believe in self-sacrifice. They're used to giving up luxuries and necessities to survive. They're very cautious and they follow rules. They don't want to disrupt society, and they're very loyal and committed to family and tasks. They fight for security and stability, especially after several years of uncertainty. These are just some more pictures of people in that generation. You can see this cartoon over here. It says that they're hard workers, they're dedicated and frugal, and they conform, and they're very loyal. And then there's a picture of the technology that they had available in the 1950s when these people were teenagers or adults. These are my references for pictures, references for information. Thank you for joining me today.